Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit about a couple of articles or blog posts that I wrote last week. And so it started with Salesforce buying Informatica, which was announced a couple of weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago now, right? And so I think I wrote one about what I think is going to happen in kind of the acquisition market with AI. And I wrote another about what I call the last mile problem that AI faces, right? And essentially, my hypothesis is that you're going to see a lot more acquisitions of data quality, data structure, data governance type companies like Informatica. If you don't know what Informatica is, it's a great data governance tool, but it's a lot of kind of integration, ETL, ELT process, right? Data quality checks, data lineage. It's the type of things on the back end from a governance perspective that you have to do. It's really important, but it's not sexy. People don't love it. A lot of people, if you're not like me, your eyes probably glaze over when you talk about this stuff, right? And so the reason why I said this is because I think that's going to happen a lot in the future. Companies who are really serious about AI and leveraging AI in their business, you're going to see a lot of AI driven, like companies that are trying to produce AI, purchase companies like Informatica to integrate into their platforms. And the reason for that is because AI right now has a last mile problem, right? And so what that is you have a great technology that fails when applied to the real world. In the demo, it looks great, but I think in one of my articles, I use the analogy of a Ferrari stuck in traffic when you try to actually integrate AI into the messy reality of business operations, right? And the reason for that is because most organizations are not mature enough from a data and structure and process perspective to really integrate AI in a way that produces positive ROI for their business, right? I've talked about this a lot. We developed a whole AI maturity model around it that you should definitely check out in our other videos if you haven't seen it, right? But most organizations get caught up in the buzzword. Everyone's doing AI. AI is where everything's going. And I believe that AI is awesome technology. I use it every day. I believe AI is where everything is going. But right now, at this point in time, if you are a COO, a director of ops, a founder or owner of a small company, if you are a leader trying to figure out what does AI actually mean for you today, it's a really difficult question to answer because it's really hard to find enterprise use cases that produce a positive ROI. And the reason for that is because a lot of organizations are down here with the maturity of their data and process structures. And in order to have agentic AI that really drives value, you need to be way up here, right? So there is a massive gap between where people are and where they need to be if they want to have these really high value AI use cases, right? They're dealing with messy data like a variety of formats, what I called format anarchy, right? You have 5 different systems with John Smith as a customer, but one of them is Smith, comma, space John. One is John Smith. One is John, first name, Smith, last name. One has the middle initial worked in there, right? Or you have dates. Some of them are MMDD, YYYY. Some of them are 6 with only 2 digits for the year. Some of them are reversed in the European way, right? Like you get a lot of different things that cause problems across different databases. Some of them are in UTC because everything likes to put time in UTC, right? And then some of them are in your local time zone, Eastern or Central or whatever, right? And so this happens all the time. Um, and that format causes a lot of problems from a data quality perspective. You have a lot of different databases that are from different times, right? You have one database that was for client onboarding. So all the data about the client got the snapshot at onboarding date, but then it hasn't been updated since, right? And then you have another database that is occasionally updated and another one that theoretically is updated every day. And they all now have a different email value. Which one's correct? Nobody knows, right? Um, you have words that people say, like customer type, but nobody actually knows what it means, right? You might have premium, gold, VIP, all of these different values in customer type. Nobody knows if premium is above gold. Is VIP the highest? Seems like it, but nobody actually knows that, right? People say a metric, lead time, right? And one person in their head starts it here and ends it here, and the other one starts it here and ends it here, right? So you say the same words, but they mean different things, right? So there's this semantic confusion about what people actually mean. There's varieties of access, right? There's no cohesive access strategy. There's a couple legacy reporting systems that only like two people have access to, right? And then you have these like little small quality issues that pop up because you have very kind of subtle duplicate records, right? Or, this hard coded value in a database really should have been updated 3 years ago, but it wasn't. So it's calculating something slightly wrong. Nobody really knows until you dig in at a granular level, right? All of these things exist in large amounts across organizations, right? The truth about AI and implementing it successfully is most organizations just aren't mature enough to do it right now. And if you are going to do it and be successful, you have to invest in cleaning up all of these data issues. B, you need a human translation error. You need people. A lot of times with like technology, there's been this gap between business operations and the tech talent, right? Developers don't speak business, business don't speak development. And so there's always been this gap of communication, right? Well, there were people who could fill that role, right? There were people who understood it. They weren't devs, but they understood enough of the tech to be able to speak to the devs. They understood the business ops to speak to the business ops. Excuse me. And they bridged that gap, right? I played that role a lot in my career. Well, you need that for AI. You need people who can dig in and understand the really, really granular details and help translate, structure, and update it for AI to actually have valuable use cases. The problem is that's really expensive, time consuming, and it's hard to scale, right? Because you can't just hire a bunch of people constantly translate things to your AI, right? And so that's part of the problem, right? And in addition to that, you have all of these integration complexities, right? Because your average, I read an article the other day and I forget what the number is, but your average company uses something really incredibly stupid, like 92 SaaS applications, right? Like you have 92 different applications that you use for stuff. Some of those are one-offs, like a DocuSign or something, right? But in large versions, like you have a tremendous amount of applications scattered across your organization that people are using. Some of them are duplicative from a function perspective. Some of them are like you have multiple licenses of the same system because people don't even know that you're both using Smartsheet, right? And then you have to figure out how to take like your CRM and your product database and your billing system and your support ticket system and your inventory system and your shipping system and all of these different things, your ERP, right? Whatever it is, and connect them all and make them talk together. Because if you wanted something simple like an AI chatbot application, it would have to be able to hit all those to accurately answer questions. And so that's like 5, 6, 7, 8 systems that have to be not only integrated with like the AI, but also like intelligently structured so that it can contextualize and make sense of it, right? And so that's a lot of failure points. It's a lot of new data quality issues. There's a lot of maintenance and overhead, right? And in addition to that, when you have AI systems can kind of be black boxes sometimes, right? So you run into this governance issue of like, how do you audit an AI decision? How do you make sure that it's compliant with our policies and procedures? How do you make sure that it's locked down and secure, right? So there's all of these issues, and there's a lot of skills gap that are associated with those issues that really causes problems, right? Like most people who build AI systems, this is the tech ops challenge, right? People who build AI, OpenAI, Anthropic, people like this, people who study it, the academic types, that's what they do. They don't necessarily understand the reality of working at a 2,000 person company with 92 SaaS applications and 14 divisions that all have their own departments underneath them and different leaders and different priorities, and figuring out how to make all of those messy pieces talk together intelligently, right? And so there's a real skill gap for people to fill that middle tier and help bring all those things together. And so the traditional approach of like throwing manpower at it just really doesn't work because it doesn't scale. It's really expensive. It's slow. You need so many people in this kind of emerging field to try to figure it out, right? And so our thought on the path forward, for whatever it's worth to you, right, is you have to put a focus on infrastructure. That's what it is. If you look at our AI maturity model, we talk about like you lay some groundwork in process and data, but then you get to level 5 and that's where you have to invest. You have to invest in your infrastructure. You have to build an environment and invest in an environment that provides clean, accurate, and contextualized data to your AI if you want to successfully integrate it into your business. That's what it is, right? That's why the Informaticas of the world are being bought by the Salesforce of the world, right? Is because Salesforce, trying to do all their AI stuff, has realized that problem, and they went and bought one of the best in the market at solving that specific problem, right? Informatica has been solving problems like that, building data warehouses for a long time successfully. Used them for it before, right? They're a great solution for that. Salesforce wants to lean into the AI, and they realize they can't really find the success that they're looking for to do that unless they can go out and find a solution that helps solve the architecture problem, the data quality problem, the data structure problem, the data contextualization problem. All of those things they have to be able to deliver if they want to create a path forward. That's the reality that they understand. That's why they went out and bought Informatica. That's why you're going to see more companies buy solutions like Informatica. And that's why if you are a business, it doesn't matter if you're a two-person company that wants to build an AI chatbot on your website to help convert cold traffic to sales, business to consumer, whatever, or if you're a 20,000 person company trying to implement agentic AI all across your business to drive operations, doesn't matter. It's a different scale, but it doesn't matter. You still have to get the architecture right because you have to produce quality data. You have to contextualize it for the AI. You have to make sure that it makes sense, and you have to present it in an intelligent way. We're going to have other videos where we talk more in depth about how to do that. But conceptually, that's what you have to do if you want to have success in this area. It's as simple as that, right? Like you have to invest in your architecture. You have to invest in your infrastructure. You have to get the data structure right. You have to do it. It's not glamorous. It's not as sexy as just going up and spinning up an AI agent, right? But it is what it is. I had a client the other day that made like a mock dashboard in Claude, and they came and they're like, "Okay, I really like this. Could we use it?" I was like, "Well, I mean, maybe. Like, we'd have to talk about it." He's like, "Well, in theory, if we could get our data to match the schema that's on the back end of this dashboard that I created, then we could just use this dashboard, right?" I was like, "Well, yeah, in theory, but that's literally the challenge with all of this, right? You can go mock up anything you want. You can go mock up any UI, any dashboard, any experience. Mocking it up it is easy, right? The back end is what's hard. Getting all the pieces to fit together and be structured in a way that drives the result that you actually want. That's the part that's hard, right? And that's what you have to invest in if you want to have success with AI. So focus on your infrastructure, focus on your architecture, focus on delivering the AI quality, clean, reliable data that is properly contextualized and solving some of these data quality issues like we outline in our AI maturity model. And if you do that, then you can find success. Then you can find success with AI implementation. Otherwise, you're going to really struggle to get a positive ROI on what you're trying to do from an AI perspective. Thanks for watching.